Welcome to On the Point Podcast, a podcast for all things Overwatch with a heavy focus on League, discussing roster moves, weekly matchups, and our last week of regular season play for the season.
It's so weird to think at this point.
I had a reminder earlier today that it's the last week of August, and I needed about a minute and a half for my brain to go, no, what? Not now, what?
Yeah, it's I've definitely had a bunch of those moments where I'm just like completely blown away at how much of the year has just slipped by into the ether.
I mean, we've been inside since March. Time is a flat circle, and every week feels like another iteration of Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like this week just went by. This week specifically went by so fucking fast.
Mine was the exact opposite. Oh my god, my Monday was so bad that I kept thinking it was later in the week than it was. So it's just been like, is it Friday? Is it Friday? It's not Friday. Oh. For reference, it's Thursday when we record this. So I've been asking if it was Friday since Tuesday. Again, time is a flat circle, and I cannot remember which day it is, which is why I'm grateful for clocks in the bottom corners of, I almost said TV screens, computer screens.
Mm-hmm.
Quarantine brain is a bitch, you guys. Anyway, it was our final week of regular season play, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna miss regular season play. It has been keeping me sane throughout quarantine.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think that this like thing that we can invest our time and energy and brain power into is just not gonna be there.
Yeah, it's going away for a while. And I mean, we're probably going to take a bye week ourselves as a podcast. We have we have the first round of playoffs next week, September 3rd and 4th. So, right before the 3-day weekend for Labor Day, for
Mhm.
those of you in the US. And I believe Thailand also has a holiday on Monday. Yeah. So, there's that. There's another bye week. And then there is the all-Star weekends, plural. They're doing two of them. I believe the US one is the 17th and 18th, and the APAC one is the 24th and 25th, or somewhere around there. And then October is when we get the finals, because after that point, we have allowed for travel and visas and quarantine and everything else.
Yeah, it's a whole deal. I haven't like refamiliarized myself with the timetable for everything.
Yeah, I just know it because my roommate will occasionally plan her schedule or allow me room to plan my schedule around, okay, this is the match that I really want to watch this weekend. So I kind
Uh-huh.
of want to take over the TV at this time so I can see it on the big screen. So there's occasionally like, well, this is the one I want to watch at this time. Do you mind?
Mhm.
So when it's a bye week, it throws her too. She's like, aren't you going to watch Overwatch League this weekend? And I'm like, there is no Overwatch League this weekend. So that's the reason I know the schedule.
Fair.
Household convenience.
Fair. Whereas, in mine, we're both fans, and then Becca doesn't give a shit when it's if I'm just watching it. It's not a thing she, cares about.
Yeah, I mean, my roommate doesn't hate it or anything. It's just kind of white noise. But we
Yeah,
are at the point where I will talk about teams and she'll be like, oh, is that this one? Or, oh, is that this one? Or, that's a good thing, right? Like,
just learning by osmosis.
learning because I won't shut up about it. Same difference.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
let's talk about the results for this past week because we've got a whole lot of things that were expected and I think a couple of things that really weren't.
Yeah, so getting into this, let's first up, Vancouver Titans take on the Boston Uprising, and Boston is swept 3-0. This one hurt to watch, not because I gave a damn about either team, like neither one is my team at this point. Um, but I just want to point out, like, Boston finishes dead last in the entire league with this loss, and a record of 2-19 with the map differential of -47.
Yikes.
And they finished overall last season they finished 8-20 with a map differential of -37.
Season 1 they did okay.
Well, season 1 was a completely different team in every regard.
This is true. Season 1, the bottom rung was the Florida Mayhem and the Shanghai Dragons, and boy, oh boy, that is not the case anymore.
No.
Essentially, it continues to be difficult to be a Boston fan, and I would imagine it also continues to be difficult to be on Boston when what you're going to be known for this season is having a sexual predator in your ranks, losing almost everything, beating the Gladiators that one time against all odds, and going 7 rounds with the Houston Outlaws. Not a
Yeah,
great reputation this season.
no, and the thing is, Boston built up an incredible amount of goodwill in season 1, and it is just all gone by now.
Yeah. And I mean, it's rough. Again, it's got to be rough to be a Boston fan, and
I
it's
mean, I'm
got
a
to
New
be rough
Yorker,
to
so
be
screw 'em.
on. It's got to be rough to be on the team as
Yeah,
well, because
seriously,
it's not
seriously.
like they're not trying. They absolutely are.
And a lot of these players are genuinely really super talented, so seeing them in this position where, one, I'm sure they're pulling their hair out in frustration or just immensely upset when they fall short of what they think they should be capable of. And then also just, and this is maybe kind of cynical of me, but if you can imagine being in this position and, you play through this year, your contract with Boston's coming up, and you must just be thinking, please God, let someone think this time was not representative of what I can bring to the table.
Yeah, yeah. And I keep going back to, I feel bad for Fusions. He was almost on the Valiant. And and again, Valiant was not doing great at that point. Let's be real. It
Yeah.
kind of would have been a lateral move at the time. And then the meta changed, and the Valiant did a whole hell of a lot better. And now this season, there's no guarantee that he would still have been on the Valiant. About the
Yeah.
only people they kept were KSF, Shax, and McGravy. But he, again, it would have been a chance. He would have had a chance to be on a team that had a steep upward curve at the end of the season and then be able to go somewhere else from there. And he
And
didn't, and he's still on Boston because playing in
mhm.
the league is better than not being, like, playing on Boston has to be better than not being in the league at all.
And it has to be such a come down too, because he was part of the very successful, one very successful season for British Hurricane and one not so successful in Contenders, and then performed well in trials. He had like a banner performance in the Overwatch World Cup, and it must feel like you went from like this huge peak and everything was looking up and just being like, well, this is where it led.
He's a hell of an engine, but he's stuck in neutral.
Yeah, pretty much. And I feel really bad for him, and I feel bad for everyone on this team. Boston's going to
They
need to make some
are,
serious changes, and I would be surprised if Huck has a job come season 4.
yeah, Boston is far less than the sum of its parts.
Big time.
It sucks for all of those parts because they're not bad players. This is just
Yeah.
a real bad time. But it's
Yeah.
been a real bad time for 2 seasons.
Yeah. Well, speaking of teams that had a bad time for 2 seasons, the Florida Mayhem beats the LA Gladiators 3-1, which brings
I'm a
us.
little sad that we dropped that 4th map. Like, I was
Yeah.
really hoping for a map 5.
Yeah, no, like they were going at it, though the Valiant versus Gladiators like closing out. We'll get to that, but that delivered. Um Hangzhou Spark versus Seoul Dynasty. Hangzhou picks up the 3-0 sweep. London takes on NYXL. NYXL goes 3-1 up.
I'd
Washington
like to
Justice.
point out
Oh
here
yeah.
that London took a map off of New York. And given London's recent performances, that's a good thing.
What have I been saying?
Lots of things. You'll have to remind me your specifics on this one.
NYXL, regarding NYXL's problems.
Oh, well, yeah. God knows what team is going to play on what day.
Yeah, well, it's that. It's the fact that they haven't quite gelled with this new, more aggressive play style. Their resources are split between two carries. And over the course of the season, they just haven't seemed to, like, get the meta in the same way that they have in previous seasons.
That's true, but we did also say last week that New York was perfectly capable of wrecking lesser teams on sheer firepower alone. And London
Yep.
Spitfire, in terms of APAC, is definitely one of the lesser teams. So the fact that they were able to take a map, even though New York has been having performance issues, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it to them. That's good. Especially given how their later match with Seoul went.
Yeah,
The upward
yeah,
curve is a little too late for the London Spitfire, but at least it's there.
yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens with them, and like, I'll go on record and say that, like, the London Spitfire have performed more or less how I thought they would. But it's one of those things where when I looked at their roster, I didn't have very high hopes, but I thought they had a very wide range of possible outcomes because they do have some genuinely talented people like Bernard, like Cleston, like Sanguinar, like Glister and Shui, and they have a lot of people that you could build a good team around. It's just a lot of them are unknown and untested as well, and having this
Yeah.
whole roster come together, and it ends up playing in APAC, which is kind of a rough straw to draw as a result of the COVID situation.
It's a small fish in a small pond in which there also happen to be sharks.
Yeah, you're a fish of average size in Loch Ness.
Yeah. Yeah. Apt with the dragons.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you. So up next we have the Washington Justice versus the San Francisco Shock, featuring the return of Decay.
So yeah, we come back to and shock take it 3-0. We have a little bit
Yes.
of 3 Overwatch going on here. We return to the Shock is very, very good at pinpointing the carry player on a team, shoving them in a locker, taking their lunch money, and leaving them there until the end of the school day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Decay is good. Let's be real. But
Yeah.
everyone on the San Francisco Shock is good. And they're very good at, oh, okay, who needs to be stuffed for this comp to fall apart? Oh, it's Decay. Oh, okay. Whereas Washington Justice tends to do this thing where, yeah, their lineup is pretty solid. They've been getting better people, but they are known for like the one pop off DPS. It was
Yeah.
Corey, and then it was Tuba on May when May meta was the big thing,
And
and
then
now it's
Tuban
Decay.
Genji. You mean Tuban Genji?
Yeah, yes, that. Sorry. Tuba on a very specific character. Not
Mm-hmm.
just Tuba in general, but Tuba in a specific character in a
Yeah.
specific meta. And then, yeah, Decay. So, again, we made the joke earlier, Stuff Tuba is the name of my ska band. If there's anyone who knows how to take a superstar DPS and just shove them in a locker, it's San Francisco. So
Which,
this was kind of a foregone conclusion.
yeah, and it's one of those things of, like, I called it because
Well, yeah, but it's not so much pick up the phone because I called it as it is the caller ID was broadcast to everyone.
I mean, you say that, but
Like,
let me point out specifically why and what I predicted, which is one, Washington Justice, as we've said, will hyper focus on enabling one DPS player, and if it doesn't happen, no one is able to pick up that slack otherwise, and they just lose. The other thing is their overall team cohesion still isn't great. Like, they're not all moving and reacting and working together super cleanly. Like, the peel isn't always there. The ult coordination is a lot better than it was, but it's not always there. Basically, they're the exact opposite of the Shock.
yeah.
Where they've they like hyper focus on one person carrying instead of everyone being a pop off threat. And then you also have the situation of like one of the best coached, I would say the best coached team in Overwatch versus a team that I would not put in that same conversation.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, what did I say about exactly what was going to happen to Decay picking this team after leaving Dallas?
I
The
really need you to stop
same
quizzing me on last week's episode.
the same damn thing.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
again,
Same
if
issues.
Decay didn't pop off, Dallas didn't win. And he's playing against a team that is the ultimate crystallization of that problem in Overwatch. That it's you could literally not have picked a team that will more directly play into the shit that frustrated you.
I mean, if he's going to have the same problem, he might as well have the same problem with his friends.
True.
And again, making the
Meanwhile,
point of it's better
somewhere
to be playing in Overwatch League than not.
it's true.
So he can take, he's on that provisional contract through the end of finals, which is great. And then he can be like, sup, y'all, I'm Decay. Love me. And another team will be just falling all over themselves to pick him up. And odds are he will have his choice.
Oh yeah.
Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco went, hey, buddy, you want to...
You know who nah, I was gonna not them. I'm trying to think of like which team would benefit the most from Decay.
I mean, anyone would benefit from Decay. It's just a matter of, do they already have someone who works well with the team who can fulfill his role? Like, he definitely wouldn't need to be on Shock. Shock is already stacked as fuck, and we saw
Yeah.
Ons just take him to the cleaners time and time again.
Yeah, well, no, I'm
So,
just thinking like
yeah.
specifically what team would benefit the most from Decay.
Well, what team is missing a good pop-off DPS? We need a strong tank line and a strong support line already, but who do we have where it's like, yeah, these two are great, but the DPS, man, the DPS need help. Because
So
usually that's
yeah,
not where we have the problem. Usually the problem is, what are the tanks doing? Where's the support line? Usually DPS is fine.
I will say one thing that would be an interesting possibility, though I don't think it would happen, is imagine the DPS line, yeah, of the
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver Titans with Decay. If you had Shockwave and Decay,
Oh my god.
they might win games.
Well, okay, you can't say that. They won a game this week. But admittedly, it was to Boston, but nonetheless, they've also beaten Atlanta. Yeah, no.
That's not as hard as they might want you to believe. Atlanta.
No, but there's still a little bit of pedigree to saying we beat Atlanta as opposed to saying we beat Boston. Like,
Yeah.
we beat Boston. Great. Glad you stepped over that bar. It's subterranean. So
Losing to
yeah.
Boston is like tripping over a sewer line from street level.
Yeah, I feel like beating the rain is a little bit like running hurdles, and beating the San Francisco Shock is, goddamn, dude, your pole vaulting is on point.
Well, if it's the Shock, it's if it's the Shock, you're in there with Tyson. Like,
okay, but I'm still going with like where the bar is set. You're changing the metaphor on me.
yeah, I'm just saying a bar doesn't actively scare you.
This is also true. What if the bar was covered in spikes?
All
Been
right,
watching a lot of The Good Place and just went full Jason Mendoza there.
I would say, and we getting into some like Mario Maker shit right now, but
let's be real. San Francisco Shock is basically one of those. San Francisco Shock is a Ross Mario Maker level, all right? It's possible, but only if you're real good.
yeah. So, moving on, Dallas versus
Anyway.
Toronto. Dallas picks up the 3-1 victory. And
I had hope for Toronto here.
I did not, just because so far the only time they really showed success was basically when they could default to entirely comfort picks.
This is true. And losing Genji Tracer was an issue for a lot of teams.
Uh-huh. And it's also like they don't really have a pop-off threat consistently when Agilities isn't on the Genji right now. Well, no, they have.
Yeah.
Well, they have.
Logics.
Yeah, what am I saying? But
I was like, thank you, Mr.
yeah,
Logics.
yeah, no, you're right. What the fuck am I saying? But he was the only person who's really like pulling a lot of weight in that.
And again, we go back to you can't have one pop-off DPS and expect to win.
Yeah. And so it's just one of those things of I don't think Dallas played particularly well in that scenario. I think I think they, still they looked better than they have the past couple weeks, but there's still a lot of sloppiness, still a lot of problems, still a lot of shit they need to work out. It's just the thing is that the Toronto Defiant can't aggressively push the pace far enough or to take advantage of that, or they just don't have the the sheer the team play and pop off potential. Like the thing is I just don't think they have what it takes to beat a team that can fight them at an even keel because they give up that advantage quite a bit. I will say Zeke was doing a lot of work on Sombra, actually.
Oh yeah.
He was doing good. He was doing good.
So yeah, moving on.
Gladiators versus Atlanta Reign. Gladiators pick up the 3-1 victory.
Yeah.
Next, Valiant take on the Titans, and Valiant pick up a 3-0 sweep.
It's a little sad for the Gladiators because they really wanted Valiant to lose this match so they could rise in the standings a little bit.
Yeah.
But then you look at Valiant versus Titans and go, not this year. Not this year, not this team.
Yeah. So then back over to APAC for the final match over there. Seoul Dynasty versus London Spitfire again. And Seoul picks up the 3-2 victory.
And the fact that we went to a map 5 here instead of having full-on 3 Overwatch, which I think is what we had for the previous 2 matches of this, again, it's an upward curve for London. It's too little too late, but it's there.
Meanwhile, Seoul, Seoul's trajectory is not a line so much as it is a seismograph reading.
Seoul's trajectory is a random smattering of points, and we're all just playing connect the dots as best we can.
It's like the little activity books you get in when you're 4 years old, and it's just little dots, and it's just like connect them and draw the little picture, and then it's a cat.
Yeah. Admittedly, one of my favorite "what the fuck is this" phrases is I've connected all the dots and I still don't see the bunny rabbit.
Yeah, that's Seoul.
Yeah. Well, for Seoul, I'm not convinced there is a bunny rabbit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Up next, Dallas Fuel versus the Paris Eternal, and the Paris Eternal predictably pick up the 3-1 win. But I will say Dallas did better than I thought they were going to.
Yeah.
Not great, but again,
speaking of teams
in the right direction.
Well, and speaking of teams doing better than you think they're going to, Atlanta took San Francisco to a map 5. San Francisco pulled it out, but Atlanta pushed it there. And I'm surprised because I was fairly certain San Francisco would pretty much see all of Atlanta coming and just stomp them.
Yeah, it was the Overwatch League circle of... I was going to say the Overwatch League circle of parody, but it's not really parody. But it just... the bullshit spins on.
Yeah. But I don't know. San Francisco played kind of oddly in this game. Let's be real. And I wonder if it wasn't a little bit of, look, we already know we're fine. We already know what we're doing. Let's try some shit out. Let's mess around. What Paris said they were doing beforehand, and what the Valiant also said they were doing going into this battle for LA, which admittedly drove me a little crazy. I know you're already locked into the number 5 seed, but it's a fucking rivalry match, y'all. Yeah. You bring your A game.
You really do. You gotta go.
So I was a little unhappy with that pregame interview. Like, you gotta be kidding me. It's a rivalry match. You don't, and you're tied. You don't blow this shit off.
Yeah.
So, I get it, but also, come on.
Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
The game was fun though.
The game was fun, but my god, Valiant needs to pick up their control game. I don't know what we were doing.
Yeah, and I will say one thing that kind of jumped out to me after the match was DPay and Packing Ten's inevitable banter. And the thing that I just want to say here, because this is the thing that stuck out to me almost as much as the match itself, where Deepay goes, GG's Valiant players, you guys are insane. Packing 10, stay free. You should probably just stick to Valorant. Your team does better when you don't attend scrims half the time. Funny, your best year is about as good as my worst year, and we're still going to dominate playoffs.
Oof.
And it was honestly like that was one thing, but head coach banter and all that. But the thing that stuck out to me that made me go, hold the fuck on just a second, was Packing 10's response, where he says, my guy spent millions to tweet at me from a lower placement in the regular season, which is, on the one hand, correct, but on the second, don't like, I know that you were working with severe budget constraints and that it's no secret that the biggest factor in the Valiant looking like they do this season in terms of their roster was your available budget and everything. But
Was
don't
that they refused to play any players more than 50K? Yeah.
yeah, don't fucking say that your team is the bargain bin.
But see, that's part of what makes us an underdog story is, hey, we don't have the budget that y'all do, and we're still ahead of you.
Oh no, trust me, I see the
Yeah,
value of
yeah.
that in the kind of like Moneyball Oakland A's thing. But the thing that I'm saying is, it's got to kind of suck for your coach to be like, I mean, yeah, of course, my players are fucking dirt cheap. Like,
My
I
players are just happy to be here, but
yeah,
also they're winning more.
it's one of those things where it's like you shouldn't acknowledge the fact that your fucking team was picked up with the change you could find in the couch cushions.
Yeah, yeah, but let's be real. Valiant did more with the change in their couch cushions than Houston was able to do last year.
Yeah, and that's just all I'm saying. It's just
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But then it's also not the same because Valiant as an organization has never completely fallen the fuck apart, whereas Houston was doing things with the change in the couch that they found after the house burned down. So, yeah,
yeah,
that metaphor got away from me, but you know what I mean.
yeah. But
Anyway,
yeah, moving along. That was our final week of regular season play for Overwatch League Season 3.
there was a little less 3 Overwatch than I was honestly expecting,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. It's fun when we don't do 3 Overwatch. I don't mind a good 3 Overwatch, especially when it works in my favor, but it's fun when we've got some contention, when there's uncertainty.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I'm a little sad. I spent a chunk of this week in my feelings because a lot of the appeal of the Battle for LA is being in the arena with a whole bunch of Valiant and Gladiators fans, just all of us losing our goddamn
Well, yeah,
minds, and then hugging it out afterwards, regardless of who won.
yeah. That
Like,
was the thing that like that was the moment where all of that just kind of came rushing back. Was that like, yeah, we're not getting all that.
there is nobody screaming wings out or shields up in the background so loud that you're having trouble
Mhm.
hearing the shoutcasters.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's a big part of it is the crowd losing their goddamn mind, and then when because they have a new video almost every week, but they definitely pulled it out for the it's the end of regular season play. Here's a highlight video. And
Mhm.
some of the clips they had of some of the earlier matches at homestands and the crowd noise just utterly threw me because I'm
Yeah,
not used to hearing it anymore.
yeah. It's one of those things that like If you have never gotten to attend one of those events, it is as loud as a venue that was only like 500 people or whatever could conceivably get.
Oh yeah. That's why Twitch chat was mad and calling us paid fans and being like, "Stop yelling!" Like, y'all shut the fuck up. We are at a sporting event.
Yeah, God, gamers need to shut the fuck up.
Put that on a shirt and sell it. I'd wear that.
I'm sure people have, and the thing is, like, I would love to wear that shirt just to see what the reaction is to someone. So for those of you who don't know me in real life, I'm 6'1", kind of, I'm on the heavy set side, but I have just long ass hair and a giant beard, and have just, regardless of what clothing I am wearing, I am the most, yeah, this guy plays D&D, human being you'll run into on the street.
I mean, you look Norse, basically.
Yes. Yes. Like, I just want to see the reaction of people seeing someone that looks like me wearing that shirt.
Oh yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
cognitive
No.
dissonance of it.
Oh, if I wore it to certain venues, I'd get murdered. But let's be real.
Well, yeah, the thing is,
Yikes.
I can wear it, and the most I'll get is, what? Like, it's definitely a lot harder if you're not a very large dude to wear that and not have to deal with bullshit.
Yeah, if you're a woman in gaming, people that's a lot of the reason that people were mad, because a lot of us Overwatch League fans are women, and
Yeah.
guys, we get fucking loud sometimes. There are points where I can go back to broadcast and be like, "Oh yeah, no, that's me. That's me yelling right there."
Yeah.
And at one point, you can hear me yell, "Make like Bob and do something," because I was very angry right then.
Oh, I remember. I remember this.
It's, and I know I've told this story on this podcast before, but yeah, my dad taught me that if you want the referees to hear something, you wait till the rest of the crowd is done yelling, and then you express your displeasure.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the thing.
So I did.
Well, the thing is, that's the perfect structure to make what you're saying a punchline as well. Like,
Oh yeah, and come on,
like that's how you make it
Ash had
laugh.
just gotten into the meta.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Come on. But yeah, so, people get mad when women enjoy things, so we enjoy it even harder to spite them. Yeah. Anyway, I miss the crowd noise. I miss being in the crowds. Having to delete those events off of my calendar this year was utterly heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hopefully things will be better next year. Hopefully we have some changes for the positive coming down the line on a large political scale. We can hope, but we also need to put in the legwork. So,
speaking of putting in the legwork, our sponsor.
Yes, we have sponsors. We always do, because our sponsor is amazing. Of course, this podcast is sponsored by Fred He Bakes. I don't know if Breads and Spreads by Fred is still the tagline, but it's a really good tagline, so let's keep going with that.
It is good.
For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, or who tend to skip over the sponsor breaks, which, why do you do that? Come back. We love you. This is how we keep the lights on. You're missing good things. Fred He Bakes is a one-man baking company who does incredible, wonderful things to cookies for your taste buds. His main cookie is the Brown Sugar Buddy. It's a cross between a sugar cookie, a spice cookie, and a ginger snap, and just the best damn cookie you've ever had in your life. They are soft cookies. They are very good for dunking into your hot breakfast beverage of choice. They are also, because they are soft cookies, very, very good for ice cream sandwiches, because they don't break and they don't squish the ice cream out from between the cookies. So you get that perfect bite instead of accidentally squishing all the ice cream out and then having to eat the cookie separately and eat the sandwich with a spoon, or eat the ice cream with a spoon. I have opinions on ice cream sandwiches, y'all, and this is how you fix it.
Yeah.
So, he does the Brown Sugar Buddies, which are incredible. He is now doing the Maple Brown Sugar Buddies, which are incredible, but also with maple. Pumpkin spice latte season has just started. It started like 2 days ago. as of this recording. They're officially back at Starbucks and Dunkin' and all those other wonderful places. Get a maple brown sugar buddy and dip it in your pumpkin spice drink and just love yourself, immerse yourself in fall, enjoy it. And he is also doing what he calls big chip buddies. These are, I want to say, 5-6 inches in diameter. They are giant
Oh,
cookies.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah. They're cookies the size of your face. And then you put them in your face and enjoy them. Yes, they are giant cookies with chocolate chips and nuts. If you like nuts, you can choose no nuts if that's your preference. But they're huge, giant cookies, and they're soft and they're wonderful. So if you are more of a chocolate chip cookie kind of person, get yourself some big chip buddies. Everything is made in individual batches for you guys. So, of course, it's all fresh. It's never frozen. It's made in small batches for those wonderful flavors. And you cannot find those flavors in stores. The only way you get this trio of incredible cookies is going to fredhebakes.com, 3 words, fredhebakes.com, and using coupon code on the point for 20% off your entire order. That is fredhebakes.com, coupon code on the point. Do the thing, win the stuff, treat yourself. Seriously, get you some maple brown sugar buddies and put them in your pumpkin spice lattes. Holy shit. It's incredible. You deserve it.
Yeah, let's kind of go into the news section here.
All right.
Not that many signings, trades, or retirements in Overwatch terms, but they're in Overwatch League terms, I should say. But there is definitely some news. First off, Team Blossom of Korean Contenders has disbanded. Now, why the hell do you care about some random team in Korea? And anyway, and that's a valid question.
I feel like that's not something people in the Overwatch scene ask.
You'd be
Why do you
amazed.
care about Korean Overwatch? Guys.
How many people watch Contenders?
You didn't say Contenders. You said some random team in Korea. There's
Yeah, but I said that they're a Contenders team. There was context ahead of that statement.
Regardless, I would like to think that any Overwatch fan worth their salt understands that Korean Overwatch is well worth keeping an eye on.
And yet, very few do. Anyway, the reason that this is kind of notable is that Team Blossom was formerly known as GC Busan, and GC Busan's initial roster made up half of the Season 1 London Spitfire. Gesture, Prophet, Hureg, Closer, Hagapun, and Wuhyal were all the starting members of this team. And Seoul's current GM and head coach, Hokyuri and Changgun, respectively, as well as Shanghai's assistant coach, J-Feel, are their supporting staff. So this team was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I've heard you mention them more than once.
Yeah, and the reason was, prior to the start of the Overwatch League, they were considered to be the best team in the world. After victories in Overwatch Apex Season 4, where they beat out Lunatic High, who, they became the Seoul Dynasty back when people were like, the Seoul Dynasty are going to wreck everyone's shit. And the APAC Premier, where they beat the team that would become the Vancouver Titans. Runaway. So, and also they beat Kongju Panthera, which is where we get Decay and Rascal and Roar and a whole bunch of other people. Actually, they beat them back when they had Fisher and Birdring.
So way back when.
Yes, and then Roses Are Red, Violets Are Blue, Jack from Cloud9 buys GC and Kongdu and makes them into the London Spitfire together.
Did you just make that up?
I said it years ago. So I did make it up. I didn't make it up just now.
I was going to say, because that sounded like a little bit of a prepared statement. And I'm like, come on.
No, I've made the joke before, just not in years.
All right. Any idea why they disbanded?
I haven't seen a full translation of the post.
Just we know that it happened.
Yeah. There probably is a translation out at this point, but I'm lazy. In any case...
we have the traditional Reddit check later in the episode, so...
In any case, it is kind of sad to see them go because it's, another big part of Overwatch history. Speaking of Overwatch history, let's kind of jump around a little bit, but a bunch of former fixtures in the Overwatch professional scene have signed up with Event Horizon's Valorant squad. Forsaken, who less of you will know, but names Overwatch League fans should know, Shadowburn and Taimu.
Huh.
Yeah, so
Seems like
they're
Valorant is getting a lot of the Overwatch people.
yeah, it's definitely especially drawing in the people who have like a Counter Strike or competitive shooter like on the more tactical end in their background. Um, so yeah, I just brought this up because might not necessarily be relevant to the goings on of the Overwatch League, but you know what? These guys were big deals in their time in the Overwatch scene. So it makes me happy as someone who followed them from like 2016 to see that their careers are still going on, even if it's happened in a different direction as opposed to all the other retirements we've seen lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of other, parts of Overwatch League history, Ryu Jae-hong, the man, the myth, the legend, um, the former like icon of Seoul Dynasty, has said he basically after the Vancouver Titan situation, he said he was going to take some time off and assess what he was going to do, and basically Jae-hong said today that he could end up signing with a new team during the off season provided he gets an offer he likes. So,
Bidding war.
hypothetically, we have not seen the end of Ryu Jae-hong, which I hope that we see a lot more of him because he's so damn talented and deserves a lot better than he's gotten in terms of Overwatch League performances, considering like what a big part in Overwatch history he has played.
He's one of the guys that wow, words. Thank you, brain. Name alone. He can trade on name alone
Oh
at
yeah,
this point, and he has a lot of people who are following him just for him, interested in him.
yeah,
So he's one of those players where going from team to team, he will bring a sizable fan base with him. And depending on what you look at for your profit structure, just in terms of merchandise sales, ticket sales, hopefully,
yeah.
etc., like he is a name that brings in people and that would also bring in dollars. So he would be a good one to sign, even just based on that. But on top of that, he's a fucking madman and can play like crazy. So we looked earlier at, well, which team would really benefit from decay? Take a step back. Which team would really benefit from the return of Jaehong?
What team could benefit from becoming hashtag Ryu Jae-hong sexy?
All of them?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of them that could do with that. Like,
The question is who stands to gain the most?
exactly. And,
Could you imagine him signing to Boston?
oh, God. Oh, God. I don't even want to think about that.
Could you imagine though? Like maybe they make the offer he
I
can't
mean,
refuse.
I can, but I don't want to.
So I just made this a full you ruined it and I'm leaving, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't say any specific teams. He just said an offer he likes. It could be any team. It could
Mhm.
be Washington. It could be London. It could be anyone,
Yeah.
provided that it's an offer he likes. Because again, playing in the league, better than not playing at all.
I will definitely take making six figures.
Yeah. Jeez. Boy, ain't that the American dream. Hey.
Yeah.
Or just the millennial dream. Anyway.
So, yeah. And the last two pieces of news are less
We
happy.
are shifting from the good news to the bad news. So
First
be
off,
prepared, listeners.
yeah. First off, condolences to Bishu and his family, as both of the grandparents have passed due to age-related health conditions and COVID-19 complications.
Either send him your support or Give him the space he needs, whichever you find appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know that there's much more to say about that. Our condolences to Bishu and his family.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just horrible, and I hope things go better for him as well, because I know that he had a flare up of chronic illness of his and just lost 20 pounds as well.
Oh, God.
Yeah, just
When it
poor.
rains.
Yeah, seriously, like, poor motherfucking guy. Like, he's such a nice dude. Like, no one has ever had a bad thing to say about him, and it's just one of those things of like, you never want to see anyone go through that, but especially not someone who just seems to be so genuinely kind and likable.
Dear 2021, Bishu deserves better. Follow up.
And finally, a contenders team called Odyssey recruited a new head coach. Maybe. However, you might know him better by his former handle of Cyphate. And the reason you might know Cyphate is because Cyphate is a confirmed predator who had a relationship with a 16-year-old when he was 29 going on 30.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do
Don't
that,
do
and
that.
don't hire that.
Yeah. No. Okay, I didn't know any of this until I saw people that I was following reacting to the announcement, and I kind of went down the Twitter rabbit hole of, okay,
Yes.
what have we got? And I learned a lot very quickly. And if you are an older person, predating is not the right word, but going after younger people, or if you are a younger person who is being pursued or dating an older person, especially with this big of an age gap at this young an age, like 10 years when y'all are 40 or 50, not a big deal. You've both reached some emotional maturity there. 10 years plus when you are 16, it is not flattering to be dating an older person. It is not flattering for an older person to be into a younger person like that. That is predatory behavior, and that is a sign that the older person understands that it's predatory behavior and that they are full of shit. If they are going after a person that's that much younger, it is a sign that they cannot find a relationship with someone their own age, and it is because of their own shit, and that other people have picked up on that shit and know that it's bad and avoid them. A
Yeah.
relationship like this is a sign that the older person is to be avoided. So if you are a younger person and you are looking at a large age gap, like 2 years, whatever, 2, 3 years, whatever, 5 years, depends on the 5 year gap. 27 to 32, not bad. 16 to 21, a fucking problem.
Yeah, the thing is, when someone is like, first off, like, depending on where you are, 16 already is under the legal age of consent.
Depending on where you are, it varies
Yeah.
from state to state, which is also fucked up. But
Yes. But the point that I'm making
were
is,
they dating in Florida?
I do not know. However,
But
the point that I'm making is, you're already in a gray area to begin with in that situation. And the fact that you're almost double her fucking age, and like you said, the difference between like 27 and 32 is not that big, because both people have had time to grow and experience life, and that there's a much greater level of emotional maturity, like parity between those two parties, than someone who is still going through puberty.
if you are not legally able to drink in the United States, then your relationship age gap should be like 3 years or less, generally speaking. And
Yeah.
I know that turning 21 doesn't automatically make you emotionally mature because generally you're still in college at that point, but you've at least had a little bit of life experience, maybe. Like it's it's such a hinky gray area. It's really,
Mhm.
really messed up. But the idea is the younger you are, if there is an age gap in your relationship, the smaller it should be. A 16-year-old and an 18-year-old, fine. There are some differences in maturity there, but it's not insur-fucking-mountable. A 16-year-old and a 30-year-old? No. There is something massively fucking wrong here.
Yeah.
Just no.
And
Just no.
So yeah, Odyssey, the ball is in your court here. You're the ones that are doing this really fucked up thing here.
And it's not like it's a fucking secret.
Yeah, no, this is easy to find and was so easy to find out that it was the first reaction of a lot of people.
Yeah. It's not like we hired this person and then found out some shit because it wasn't widely known. It's, nah, this is widely known. Doesn't matter what the relationship is. When there's that big of a gap, you're a fucking predator.
Yes.
When there's that big of a gap and the person on the other end of the gap is young. Again, if it's a 60-year-old dating a 75-year-old, it's fine. Because they're 60 and 75. They get it.
Yeah, they're old enough that, odds are you're not going to be in a position to emotionally take advantage of someone just by virtue of difference in life experience.
Yeah. So again, the age gap is variable. When you're older, it's generally okay. When you are this young, no. And when you're 30, you fucking know better. You do. You're still learning shit, but you fucking know better. And why would you be attracted to someone in high school? Oh my God. Again, there is so much yikes in this. There's not enough yikes in the world.
Yeah.
My general joke is I would like to award you one yike, but no, I just want to dump an entire dump truck of yikes on your lawn. Yikes, Wazowski. Just stop.
Yeah. Anyway, dropping this, moving on.
Drop him like a bad habit.
Yes, we're dropping this. Hopefully they drop him. If not, fuck y'all. Let's just go into let's talk about playoffs a little bit. Let's talk about playoffs.
And again, playoffs is going to be in a couple of weeks. We have this coming weekend off, and then we are looking at September 3rd and 4th because I assumed they did not want to play over the long weekend.
Yeah.
Happy Labor Day, everybody. Support your essential workers because they're probably still working on Labor Day. And do not go to a fucking barbecue. We're still in Corona times. God damn it.
I mean, you see what happened with that fucking Smash Mouth concert?
Oh my God. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, indeed. I mean, what happened to you, Smash Mouth? You used to be cool.
Did you see my follow-up to that?
I didn't. But just don't do it. Just don't do it. I know it's a holiday. Order in barbecue from your favorite restaurants and enjoy it with your roommates or the people that you have been doing a pod with or your damn self on a Zoom party. Just don't go to a large party. Don't go to a small party. Just be considerate of other human beings, please. So yeah, let's make some predictions for the playoffs then.
Yeah.
Before we get into party weekend that should not be partying at all. Let's.
The one thing I'm kind of confused about looking at the brackets and all that. So if you look at the playoffs, is there a team getting eliminated in round 1 of the NA playoffs? Because it's
don't know.
2 games. Elimination. Yeah. Okay. But then the thing that confuses me is so you have 2 games played on day 1 that lead into 3 games from day 2, and it looks so I don't understand how this works.
I'm also kind of looking at playoffs round 3, September 5th through 13th. So we're skipping. I completely somehow missed this, that we're doing September 3rd, September 4th, and then we're just a whole ass doing the 5th through 13th, which somehow I had not been aware of until I looked at this. So that's just going to be an entire week where we
Yeah.
do shit.
Well,
Or maybe it's only going to be on the weekends,
I
but
mean,
they have them both.
winner and loser brackets, they've got a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah.
We're in for a long haul here.
I'm okay with this.
I am too.
I am so okay with this, but my God, our recap of this is going to be so fucking long.
Yeah. So,
Anyway.
so I'm not sure how the hell the first bit of this works. I'm not sure, but at the same time, let's crack on with this, because our first the matches we can confirm are happening in NA is Houston Outrising.
You are never allowed to make fun of me for Philadelphia Fuel ever again.
I mean, I will. I still will. Look, I'm accepting it. I am an
Thank you
equal
for bringing me joy on this 27th of August in the year of our Lord 2020.
I am an equal opportunity shit giver, and sometimes the person who needs to eat some crap is me. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Houston Outlaws versus Boston Uprising. I think it's pretty safe to say that Houston's going to win that.
Houston McFucking better win this, I swear to God.
If they lose to Boston in this match, oh boy.
Oh my God.
I would be shocked if Boston wins this, because they have been, aside from that little bump when they picked up Punk, they've just been consistently bottom of the barrel, whereas Houston has admittedly not done very well, but they've shown more promise in more games. So,
yeah. And I mean, I think what we're looking at for this is we're looking at placement. What we're looking at for the third is placements on the fourth and probably on the fifth. Like, I think whoever ranks highest might get. I have no idea. I'm just going to wait for the desk to tell me how this shit works.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it's supposed to be double elimination, but I would not be surprised if we lose someone early on the third or fourth.
Yeah, just again, because it's 3 slots.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see. But yeah, Houston, they better.
And then the next one I think has the potential to be a little more interesting, which is Washington Justice versus the Vancouver Titans.
It's Decay versus Shockwave.
Yes. And I will give this to Washington.
You know, I think I'm going to pull for Vancouver. I think their team cohesion has gotten much better, and I think they are able to band together better. Just because we talked about how that's Washington's big issue. If Vancouver can figure out how to stuff Decay, I think they've got a very good chance at this.
And that's the thing. I don't think they've got that in them.
That's true. The Decay deadlift is a thing. I'm going to go with Vancouver anyway.
Hey,
I am not unaccustomed to rooting for a green underdog team. God damn it.
But you are rooting for them against Washington.
I'm just going to sit back and watch this. But honestly, I am not as enchanted with Washington as I was earlier in the season. And I'm really kind of enjoying this Vancouver lineup. Like,
yeah, no, again,
I'm still mad at the organization, but I might, if Shockwave makes it into All-Stars, which I'm pretty sure he's up for voting, I might buy a Shockwave jersey. Partially because I've been a Transformers fan for forever, and I cannot get rid of that in-joke. And partially because I like it. It's this weird, scrappy, chaotic energy, and I'm down for it.
Yeah, I can vibe with that. I can get behind that.
It's weird. Like, I would not consider them like one of my diehard teams, but I would also not put Washington in that anymore either.
Yeah.
I do think I am right or die wings out, so,
Yeah, I mean, of course, some things will never change.
Some things don't change. Yeah, so that is that, but the playoffs are I think it might have, I don't remember who tweeted this. Outlaws fan, as we do, made a comment about I wanted my team to qualify for the playoffs, and now every team qualifies for the playoffs, but also coronavirus is a
Yeah.
thing. So it's one of those, like, there was a tweet going around a while back that was, all right, how did you do this? How is quarantine your fault? Just that sort of weird, ironic monkey's paw, like, what did you
Yeah.
do? And mine was, I was looking at a very busy calendar and wishing that I could just have a weekend to myself. Because I was looking at con season, home stands, prep for other things coming down the line. Again, I was expecting to spend several months prepping for Labyrinth of Jareth. And then, like, I just kind of wanted a weekend off where I could chill. And then coronavirus happened and everything got canceled. And I went, well, shit.
Now you just have all the weekends off.
That's not necessarily a good thing.
I know.
I'm an extrovert. I get my, oh my God, there's people and I'm happy on the rare trips to Bevmo. Let's be
Yeah,
completely real.
that's real. That's real.
There's people here and we're social distance and we're chatting about things, and it's wild. Like, yay, there's people here. Stay the fuck away from me. Yay, there's people here.
God, that's
Being an
rude.
extrovert is holding two conflicting thoughts at the same time during a fucking pandemic.
Just confused dog emote.
Yeah, it recharges my social batteries, but I'm also like, stay away from me. It helps that everyone wears masks in Bevmo because they won't let you in without one. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. Anyway, yeah, like a dog listening to a high-pitched sound, just head tilt and wide-eyed staring. So
Yep.
yeah, that is this. We're taking a bye week. We've done our predictions, and then our God knows what our recap of the playoffs is going to look like. We might wind up having 2 weeks off, depending on what the playoff schedule looks like. Because
Part of me wants to just say, do we want the playoff recap to just be like alcohol fueled?
I get sleepy after alcohol, so that's
okay.
not a good plan on my end. But
Fair,
I am
fair.
willing to hold this line if you just want to go for it.
Maybe. We'll see about that. We'll see if any comments on the video come out for or against it.
Well, we'll see. Either way, might wind up with a Bevmo trip, but we will make this work. So,
Damn right.
further bulletins as events warrant. God knows how that's going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, do we want to do the traditional Reddit check to see if anything has come down the line over the past hour or so?
Let's see. Nothing new was announced for Overwatch at Gamescom. Uber is now offering personalized videos on Cameo.
Nice. Good for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, hire Uber to say charming things to you in his accent.
Yes.
Yeah, and it looks like we do have the schedule for playoffs. It's actually up on the website. Because, yeah, 2 matches Thursday, 4 matches Friday, because we're also looking at London Spitfire versus Chengdu Hunters, which, Chengdu. And then it looks like most of the matches are going to be on Saturday. Yeah, we've got a chunk of matches Saturday and a chunk of matches Sunday, but I don't see anything during the weekdays. So it looks like we are not getting a full week of play so much as it is playoffs is going to be separated into the weekends of the 5th and 6th and presumably the 12th and 13th. So we're probably not looking at Wednesday Overwatch again. I have my doubts about that one.
Yeah, seems unlikely.
All right. So yeah, that is where we are for that. Nothing new on Reddit aside from hire Uber to say nice things to you.
Well, there's one thing that just makes me happy, even though it's relevant to fucking nothing.
Do it.
Have you, in In Workshop, have you seen the Thomas the Tank Engine game type?
I have not played in Workshop. I'm a little scared.
So you're on a map,
One
and
fear.
everyone is playing soldier, except for one person who's locked into Reinhardt. And
No.
the Reinhardt player, the model is changed to look like it's made with a bunch of those little like colored lighting balls that just makes it Thomas the Tank Engine. And when you hit shift, the Thomas the Tank Engine accelerates across the entire fucking map at ludicrous speed. And so all the soldiers they can't shoot or do anything. They just need to try and run away from Thomas the Tank Engine and not get flattened. And the NYXL put out a video called, well, NYXL plays the scariest Overwatch Workshop mode. And it's the NYXL playing this Thomas the Tank Engine game type.
All I can think of is the Skyrim mod that made all of the dragons Thomas the Tank Engine.
Mono the Tank Engine.
Okay, yeah. Yep, that noise. I guess go play that.
It's hilarious.
My
It's so
experience
much
was
fun.
just having a really good round in quick play. So if your supports do a good job, tell them.
Mhm.
Tell them.
Yeah.
Also, positive mental attitude in your games. Because I firmly believe that's the only reason that we won that last game. It's just, it's so easy to tilt off the face of the planet.
Mhm.
But if you can present a positive mental attitude to your teammates, even if you're not feeling it yourself, it helps. It helps.
It does.
Fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you survive as a support player. Positive mental attitude, even if you're pretty sure everyone's going to die.
Yup.
Life lessons from Overwatch. Anyway, that's all the news that's fit to print, even though we're doing no printing. I'm Katie. You can follow me all over the social medias, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. I'm trying to set up a nice little streamer corner in my room, so hopefully I can start like streaming again and maybe showing you my beautiful, terrible Overwatch bronze comp play, which is awful, but we're all here for the wild, insane ride that it is. And you can watch me lie to my team and tell them to keep a positive mental attitude, even when you can hear me swearing a blue streak. It's great. I don't currently have neighbors, so I don't have to worry about bothering anybody.
I miss those days.
Such is life.
Yeah.
And you are?
I am CJ. I am the Tankman. You can find me on Twitter at @the_rage_nerd, and also follow Decima Overwatch on Twitter. That is the team that I coach for. Although, actually, as of now, I am no longer the head coach. I am the general manager. So we'll transition there.
Support T3.
Yes, please do. It genuinely would directly help me.
Support T3.
Yes.
You can follow the podcast on Twitter at OnThePointPod. I keep saying that. I need to do more with it. Maybe I'll just post a bunch of memes. Positive mental attitude. And of course, we end with the important things. We've been sprinkling these throughout this episode, but we're just going to backload because that's what you do. Push that final bit of the payload into home. Yes. Stay inside. If you are able. There's still a pandemic happening, y'all. If you are going outside, even if it's just to walk your dog or get the mail or whatever, if you are stepping out of your front door, wear a mask. Wear an actual mask. If I catch you wearing one of those little mesh things we are going to have capital W words, wear a mask. Support your essential workers. They really need your support. Black Lives Matter. Black trans lives matter. Black LGBTQIA lives matter. Black Lives Matter. Protest if you are able. Support your protesters if you are not able to protest yourself. Please do your best to be safe. Things have ramped back up again, and it's wild out there. So please be safe. Defund the police. Arrest the cops who murdered Breonna Taylor. Again, I repeat, wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Support the post office. Buy stamps. Use them. Pay them for postage. Support the post office. Call your representatives, because that is the best way to support the post office and make them support the post office. Register to vote, and then actually vote. If you are in a state that allows you to bring your mail-in ballot to a drop-off location or a polling box instead of mailing it in, do that. Vote early. Register to vote. Make sure you do it. Vote early if you are able. Stay safe as much as you can. Stick together, those 6 feet apart, and take care of each other, because that is the only way we are going to make it through this, you guys. Basic human compassion, taking responsibility for our role in this, doing what we can to affect the change we can, and taking care of each other. Stay safe. We love you. Anything else?
Nope.
Let's C9.